You ain't got it connected to this Wi-Fi.
Let's go, guys. Let's go, guys. Let's go, guys. Let's go, guys. We got good. Okay. Got good service. Okay.
Okay.
Hey, how you doing, guys? This is episode 72 of the Marvel Sports and Life. So we got somebody here that's Orangeburg famous. You know what I'm saying, guys? You guys seen it in such movies. A lot of movies we're gonna talk about. You might have seen it, but not after this interview. You're gonna go and see it. A lot of you might know her as Miss Robinson. A lot of you might know her as Said It. You might know her from some of her skits she's been doing around local spots in Orangeburg. And today on episode 72, we have Ursula O. Robinson.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being here. Thank you. Now, I just want to tell y'all, I don't want to mess you up, but 7 and 2 equals 9, and 9 is a number of birth. We doing something new here, baby. Pow!
Okay,
See?
okay.
Only somebody from Orangeburg who's famous can tell you that.
Okay.
Thank you. I just want to, let me just bust him out a little bit because I'm so proud of who he is. He's a wonderful man, a wonderful father, and he's just awesome. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
I remember when you had the dream.
Thank you.
And look at it now. See?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Boom bastic, baby. That's all I'm talking about. Y'all sitting at home thinking about stuff. We doing it.
Okay. Okay, I appreciate it. So, Ursula, let's start beginning. Because, guys, you let me know because the audio is coming through loud.
Oh, okay.
The audio is coming through loud. Okay. Yeah. So, who is Ursula Robinson?
Ursula Robinson is a dynamic force of nature. I'm a pot of collard greens with a side of sweet potato pie and a big old glass of red Kool-Aid. Okay. With too much sugar.
No, not cherry Kool-Aid, but red
Kool-Aid, which means you could be anything.
You got
long
that
as
right.
It's red.
Okay. So the thing I like about Ursula, let's tell people where you from originally.
I'm actually from North Carolina, Greensboro, North Carolina.
Okay, Greensboro, home of the East Carolina Pirates, right?
No, home of North Carolina A&T.
Oh,
yeah. So the Pirates are a little further up.
I'm sorry, guys, because all the A&T fans out there gonna definitely be.
Bulldogs! I'm just because I do have a letter from A&T. I actually, my aunt was a coach, and so I ended up taking classes. As a kid, I would go with her to classes in summer. So in summer school, while everybody else was out there, whatever, I was taking classes, volleyball. I took tennis. I think golf, basketball. So I was playing basketball with grown women.
At what age?
At 11, 12.
Wow.
Yeah. So I would go with her to school, and I was a softball. In softball, I was the bat girl.
Okay.
And that year, one year when I was a bat girl, we were the first HBCU to win I think it was in Division 1 championship. So we were breaking barriers. And so after I came to work here, A&T called us back like 10, 15 years after Abbott. They called us back, and I have a letter. I didn't have a jacket to put it on, so it's in a frame on my wall.
They want all y'all to come back for like a
just to honor the occasion, because my aunt Joyce Sproul, you can look her up, but my aunt did a lot of great things. She is the pioneer of women's sports at North Carolina A&T.
Okay, and she did all this when you was 11 years old. That's crazy. Okay, so 11 years old. So let's talk about, we skipped a little bit. You guys know how I do. They always pick at me. Let's start from the beginning. Okay, you was born in Greensboro to the parents. Let's get your parents. Rest in peace.
Yes, George and Thelma Robinson. And I'll drop a little something in here. Although I'm from Greensboro, North Carolina, my grandmother is from Orangeburg. Yeah, Mariah Williams. Yeah.
Oh, so you do have an Orangeburg.
Yeah, so that's why it's weird. It's like, okay, God brought me back here to tie up some things, cut some things, generational things or something. I don't know. But God brought me here. But I was in Orangeburg maybe a year or two, and I was going through some things, and I found my grandmother's obituary. And I was like, what? So I actually got cousins here in Orangeburg. Yeah. You didn't know that, Mom?
No, I did not.
Hey, guys!
Okay, guys, but for that one, we definitely just learned something new for that one, because I did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
My great grandfather was a minister, Minister Williams. I forgot his name, but yeah, but my grandmother, and in fact, my family, some of my family used to be on Sprinkle, and remember they talk about the Robinsons would have a reunion on Sprinkle, and they shut down Sprinkle, and they be partying from one end of Sprinkle to the other. Now that's what they told me. Yeah, that's what the peoples told me and everything. Yeah.
I have no problem believing that.
Right. I ain't ashamed of my peoples. So, but I think that Robinson thing is, oh man, is my great grandmother's sister married a Robinson.
Okay.
And those are those Robinsons. And then my grandmother married a Robinson from Charleston. Yeah, Pie Niece Robinson. I know y'all know some Pie Nieces. There's some Pie Nieces around here.
Yeah.
And so, but the Pie Niece Robinsons that I know about are kin to my great grandmother's sister.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. So I got lots of roots and stuff going down through here. Right. Didn't even know it. Right.
So how would, if somebody was from that time who had described you as your child in your, I call it the early age, like from like 5 to 10, how would they describe you?
I'm gonna tell y'all this secret and just don't let it out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I used to hang with my aunt a lot.
Okay.
And my nickname was Peppy.
Okay.
I know you're like, really? Because I really had a lot of energy. I was a tomboy.
Okay.
I played sports. I wanted to play with the boys. I wanted to go do what they did. I could play football. Really good arm, really good tackle. I could do that, like it was hard to take me down. We played tackle. Okay. We used to go to a spot. This is probably why some of my friends may not be so tight. But we had an electric plant down the street, right? And then they had this clear area, and we called it the electric plant. We're going down to the electric plant. But it was where we played football. We did all kinds of stuff. And they had a little section of bamboo separating the electrical plant from like the houses. So we would go through the bamboo. We don't create caves and stuff like that. So I was really a tomboy until like, I'm trying to remember, it's a time when I discovered makeup and boys, and then that put everything out. So the last time I played, well, I did play softball as an adult, but I was a decent softball player. I was a better hitter than I was a runner, because I put somebody on the base, because I don't do that speed, boo. I hit it. I was a power hitter, but I wasn't no power runner.
You're like, I can get you on the base, but hopefully.
Boom, yeah, you do all the other stuff.
Hopefully we stay on the base. Okay, so.
Hold on, let me correct myself.
Okay.
I was really a good talker. When I played for Shaw University, we went down to Jacksonville, Florida.
Shout out to Shaw University.
Yeah.
So wait a minute. So did you get a scholarship?
To Shaw?
Yes.
No, I went to Shaw. I was like, I didn't want to stay in Greensboro. Get me out. My aunt knew the coach at Shaw, and he came up for recruitment. And I calculated the amount of time it was from my house, and I said it was far enough away for me to get away, but not far enough away so that if something happened, they couldn't come get me. But we went down to Jacksonville, Florida, to play this team, and however they hooked this thing up, we were staying in people's houses, and because there was a girl on the team.
And what is this, if you mind, if you don't want to say?
I ain't telling all my business, but it wasn't doing no COVID. Listen, and they gave us some little money. I was going to get the change. Okay. Right? And we went, I put them girls from them Jacksonville, Florida girl.
Yeah.
Well, they beat us, stole everything, stole our name and everything. That's how bad they beat us in softball.
Good gosh.
But they beat us out there on the field. But I had the game. I had the mouth. Hey, I said, "Oh, what you doing out there, huh? Huh? Oh, girl. Oh, so you can hit the ball, but you can't read. What's up? Give me G-O-G." Yeah, I was a lot of talking.
So you one of those, So you be on the sideline yelling in the dugout,
right?
Hit it, better.
Yeah, better. Yeah, you can't see. She can't see. She blind. Yeah, just a lot of mouth, and I come from it honestly, from my aunt.
Okay, so you get this. Well, Ursula, hey, let me tell you the thing I like about any of you guys. I've known Ms. Robinson for probably
20
Over
years.
20 something years.
Yeah.
And I'm just finding this out just now.
Yeah.
I
used to babysit.
Babysit is a strong word. I was
okay, I was middle school sitting, Marvin.
Okay. So middle school sitting. Okay, so you go through this. So when does theater get introduced in your life?
I've always been that odd kid.
Okay.
I've always had a vivid imagination. I tell people I came out acting, right? So first, my mother's a performer. My mother was classically trained opera singer.
Okay.
Right. So performance is in there, right? Good. Every year at Christmas, we would do a Christmas play. So I would at Christmas, we would take my grandma's good towels and wrap them around our heads and everything, and we do the nativity. Now, that was my aunt's idea, my Aunt Joyce, her idea, and my Aunt Shell's idea. Well, in fact, no, it started really with my Aunt Shell forcing us to sing Christmas carols with her, because she was our babysitter.
Did it screw in the neighborhood or just sing Christmas carols in the house?
It started in the house, and then we had to take it around the neighborhood. And so we didn't want to do it. So I grew up with my cousins who were like my brothers and sisters. So it was 8 of us at all times. So it's it was 8 of us at all times. So my aunt was babysitting 8 of us.
And how old was your aunt?
She was a senior in high school.
Okay.
Yeah, she was a senior in high school.
Okay.
And so she really hated us for a good long time. And then she became like my number one fan.
Okay.
Right. So what happened was that she was playing on the piano and everything.
Oh, so your aunt played on the piano?
Yeah, she did. See, my grandfather is a pastor.
Okay.
So you know what happened? Just like it happened for you, the pastor's kids, they had to sing and play the piano and all that.
But this your aunt, this is your mom's sister or your dad's sister?
My mother's sister.
But your mother played piano also?
Yes, my mother did. Yeah, she played piano, she sang. And my mother started this way.
Okay.
My grandmother loved older people. So after church, she would invite the older people home. So my mama would entertain them. And that's when she started singing. She would do stuff to keep them entertained while my grandmother would finish cooking. Right. Yeah. So, well, when I got into it, we started with my Aunt Shell, who was the baby girl, my grandmother's baby daughter. And we didn't want to sing. And my grandma said, y'all go on. Because my grandmother had a back porch that they converted into bedroom because we was all over there, right? So,
I bet there's a lot of people listening to this. All this stuff,
right? Yeah.
A sunroom, a garage.
Yes, where they want it.
Laundry room.
They'll do it. As I said to some other people, students, I say, y'all don't understand the strugglization. When you've been through a strugglization, you take things a little bit differently. So, anyway, getting back to the story, we didn't want to sing. My grandma said, y'all going back there and sing with Shell. We're like, we don't want to sing. Well, we went back there and we sang. Then we had to take it around the neighborhood. Then it was my Aunt Joyce's great idea for us to do a play at Christmas. So, like, I don't know how most people do it now. It's a change. But for most of my life, Christmas and Thanksgiving, all of my aunts and uncles and all of my cousins, everything, we came to my grandmother's house. Right, yeah. It was like a family reunion. Right. So we would come, so we did the plays. We started doing the plays, and my twin brothers and my cousin, they were around the same age. They would always sing Silent Night by the Temptations. And we always had to do, the nativity scene. We steal my grandma's towels and everything. And then every year she'd be fussing about her towels. Acting. Yes, acting. We acted it out. We had the music and we did that. And he not little anymore, but my little cousin John, because he was the baby. He was always baby Jesus. Until another baby came along, and then they became baby Jesus, right? And so we were doing it. Now, my cousins stopped doing it. And sometimes, they stopped doing it. Like, I was in college, still doing a Christmas play.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, I was still doing it.
So when did the Christmas play start? At what age?
Oh, man. I know at least 9, 8, 9.
So you did a Christmas play from 9 all the way to how far in college did you stop?
18, 19.
So you're like your sophomore year in college?
Yeah, we more like my freshman year, because the freshman year, when I got on the college campus, that's when I found out about a whole lot of stuff that was but so yeah. I got with the theater folks.
Uh-huh.
And not like the theater here at South Carolina State University, because our students here, they are so wholesome and kind. But the people I was with, is y'all, oh my, I was introduced, as my aunt likes to say, that I came back home realizing that I was Black. And I was like, oh, I'm shocked. And you wouldn't believe that because I'm so urban now, right? But I went to primarily white institutions all of my educational life. So when I left home, I wasn't like knee deep in the culture, but just the regular culture or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But then when I went to Shaw, I came back with slang and a little walk, and you know, a whole different ball game from my neighborhood. Because you know, my neighborhood was primarily African Americans and everything, but I was all over the place, did a lot of different things and stuff like that. So, but man, when I came home, they was like, "Oh Lord, she found out she was Black."
So, did you make an assertive effort to go to a HBCU, or the HBCU just happened to go to a HBCU?
Well, I don't even know if it was a conscious decision to make it a HBCU. It was a conscious decision to leave Greensboro.
Okay.
Because see, Greensboro has Bennett College, which is an all-girls school, and I wasn't doing that. And they had North Carolina A&T, but my aunt was there. People knew it was like, yeah. And I wasn't doing that. So I was like, when Shaw came, and this is the thing, no offense to Shaw, I love Shaw. They're doing some great things. But when Coach Al, I forgot his last name, Coach Al, he showed us the brochures. The brochures were so pretty, they were in color. I like, yeah, this is what I'm gonna do. You know, and I feel like I got a hookup and a connection. And when we came to campus, my brother drove us on campus, and we kept driving around this place because we didn't have the GPS then. We just had the maps, right? So we go right here, and this is where it was saying we were supposed to be, but there was no sign. And my brother kept saying, "No, this your school right here." I said, "That's not my school." He said, "No, this your school." He said, "Your school look like Good Times." And I was like, I started crying, and they don't pull me in and put my stuff in my room, and I was crying. And my mom was like, "You gonna be okay, baby." Because I had won a scholarship from the Deltas. I was in the Jabberwock, Miss Jabberwock, and I placed second in the talent portion. Now check this out. The year before, my sister was in the Jabberwock pageant. She wrote a speech and I performed it, and we won first place.
Oh.
Ain't that something? Now the next year when I was competing, I got second place, but there was a reason why, but I don't want to say why.
Hey, we all remember those losses. However they come, whatever form, whether it's theater, sports.
Yes.
Remember those losses.
Yes. And it wasn't a bad loss. The person who won first place had some special circumstances. She was good, but I felt like I might have had, edged out a little bit, but there was some other things happening, and I understand why they gave it to her. But now, on the other hand, once I went to Shaw and discovered all kinds of things within the first, my first week there, how about this for a college experience? A girl who had beat me down in the 6th grade ended up being my best friend.
That's life.
Ain't that something?
That's life. That story is actually more common.
Yeah.
Especially at that age bracket. They'd be like 6. Those stories are common because then you grow up. Man, why we have fight?
Right. But I dumped her like after we became friends, because let me tell you something. This is why I tell all the people, don't make no fast friends.
Yeah.
Fast friends end up being something, and I didn't understand that concept. So I made fast friends and found out they had went and told everything. You know how you just pour out your heart, and it was this beautiful, lovely young man named Butch. But we were doing this thing like, oh, that's my brother. He my brother. But I was telling him, ain't he cute? But they went and told Butch everything I said.
That sound like a Tyler Perry movie.
Woo, bro. Let me just tell you something. I'm not even scraping some of the stuff that really happened, right?
Of course not.
I just tell you this stuff, but when this stuff come out, it's like sometimes on Facebook, people will hit my inbox or ask me something, hey, how you doing? And I just be like, whoo, I'm gonna make $1 million off of you.
So you didn't even know the story of that. And I'm about to change your name. I'm about to put a W in front of it.
Yes.
Because you won't be coming back at it. And I'm
saying
loosely based on a true story.
Loosely based. Inspired by a true story. Events. Yeah. True events. So like I've been doing theater and I've been acting for a long time. And doing oration and doing things like that. And one of the things that I also got into through my church was being in the it's a African American history quiz bowl.
Okay.
And so I made the top score of the city. Yes, and so the councilwoman wrote a little letter and they put it in my file, and I was just so happy about that. And I ain't never seen the letter that I can remember, but I was told she put it in my file or whatever. So those kind of things, when I grew up in the church and everything, I left and came back. You know how we make these journeys, we go here and there. And
that's slow it down.
Okay.
That's not gonna fall. That's slow it down.
Okay.
Okay. So you at Shaw. At that point, did Shaw have a theater program that kind of fit your needs at that particular point in your life?
Right. It was a theater program.
Okay.
I want to tell you about the theater program at Shaw University, what it gave me. And this is what we talk to our students about. At Shaw, their theater program was housed in, like on a train, they have like the caboose or like the little thing. When you see the train, you see the little compartment things or whatever. And I think that's what it was. Like they took one of those and put it on the ground and put some foundation on it or something. But it was some old school functional buildings and stuff. That's where our theater was. Then they moved us into a house on the corner outside of the gates of the school. But what I learned in that environment is I learned how to do everything. I learned how to write. I wrote my first play when I was 17, in a creative writing class, and we actually performed it.
Wow.
Yeah, my teacher let me perform it. And
how was that feeling at that?
Oh man, it was something because I had this story. Of course, my story it was more mainstream than it was urban. Okay. And it was a really good, and I took the story of Jack and Jill and twisted around and told what happened after they came up after they fell down the hill, what happened. Yeah, and everything. And my creative writing teacher, he loved it, and it's great, and I still have the script somewhere. So yeah, I keep on the things. Right, so that was the first time. But at Shaw, I learned how to hang lights. I learned how to paint sets. I learned how, because we didn't have a theater, so we would take the ballroom and transformize. I was getting Jesse Jackson it. I'm gonna go ahead and do it. This is what I do. We transformize the ballroom into a theater space. We did our own performances. We wrote stuff. We did a lot of stuff, and a lot of people that I went to school with are out there doing great things. But what we learned in the struggle was that art can be beautiful no matter how you started, no matter where it comes from. And what that did for me is it gave me a skill set that other people didn't have. Because see, I could do anything.
But you could do it all.
Yes, I could do it, but I could take 2 toothpicks
and make something out of it
and do a whole show.
So when you get a show, do you feel as though Shaw University actually supported the theater program?
Well, I feel like they really did.
Okay.
Right.
How about the students?
The students did, but they call us those crazy theater people because, see, unlike now with students, a lot of people want to be very comfortable in their pursuit of their art, right? And there's a level of comfortability that people are used to, like I'm only going to go this far, I'm only going to do this. But we went in deep. We were rehearsed 1 o'clock in the morning, still got to get up and go to school. We still got to do that. And then we started at 7. and we rehearsed the 12 because we had to get it right. We went in and we did the work. We did it. And sometimes now, and I just see this, and this is not anything bad against anyone, but if you want something, why would you sit back and say, hey, I'm just going to halfway do this or do this? But it's in giving your all to the pursuit of something. Now, it may be several things you pursue, right? And that's different. But if this is what you say is your dream, and this is what you want to do, and you're like, yeah, well, I'm going to go to rehearsal like 3 hours. Yeah, no, we rehearse 4 or 5 hours. You can't do that with folks now.
But let me tell you what I've learned in my experience, different experience and things. I've learned that sometimes us as people, whoever form, what position you're in life, this is an old saying, but I did not realize how true it was until I got older. You can take a horse to the lake or river, whatever they would use, pond, but you literally cannot make them drink that. But to make it simplified, I just say I can't make you want it. I can't want it for you, and I just believe as though people now have issues in any kind of form. We can take this, even though I'm doing this podcast and I appreciate it. Can't nobody make me inbox people, talk to people, bring my stuff, bring my children, put the content out there on different platforms, have my learning things. I got to do it.
Consistently doing.
Correct.
Okay. Not talking about it, not blowing it up like, yeah, man, I'm a blah, 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 but actually doing the work,
yes,
going in and starting wherever you are.
Yes.
Because now the playing field is different.
Yes, it is.
So you can start in your house and hit the whole world. Think about all of the people who become famous or who had these opportunities because of the content they're putting out there. So it's just the playing field is different. Yes. And I tell people, I live in a town, for those of my friends and family who don't know how big Orangeburg is, I think it's about 10 miles long, the city proper, if it's that long. It might be 10 miles, right?
I don't know. Okay. Don't do Orangeburg like that.
I'm not doing Orangeburg because I'm Orangeburg famous.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is, you think that you got to go somewhere, a big place, and make all this stuff happen. But I'm in my apartment in Orangeburg, and I'm auditioning and doing stuff with people who never heard one of this place, but people with names, people who have made strides in the industry doing stuff. Yeah. I'm doing, the film I did, oh Lord, The Lady of the Manor with Justin Long. And I did the audition. In fact, one of my students was my reader and taped it, right? And why? Why do I do that? Because I want you to see that it's possible. If I talk to you about dreams and I have a dream and never pursue my dream, then what am I saying to you?
You're doing it and you're pushing it and you're pursuing it. And this is just learn lesson for those who are there. I'm going to make this a clip. It's going to be a TikTok clip. You have to pursue it. I am an average musician, a little bit better than average musician. And I did a snippet on Instagram of me playing some jazz, and Herbie Hancock liked it and commented. Herbie Hancock.
Come on now.
Herbie Hancock.
Yes.
That just goes to show some things are also coincidence.
Yes.
But you have to be in a position
to
make the coincidence
right.
Profitable or whatever you choose to say. Okay.
Yeah, so but see, listen, if you had never put up your clip, then you'll never, and think about the confidence level that it gave you, first of all, but then, because there's people watching, and there was people looking at what he wrote. And so now you have a level of credibility that you didn't have before. And so now there's a different level of people that you can reach and who will hire you and start to use your talents. And so that's the way this thing kind of works. Unfortunately, we don't go, oh my God, I know you got talent. I can see it in your heart. Ain't nobody looking. People, what you doing?
Correct.
What's going on? What you bringing to the table?
Correct.
And so that's the whole thing is what you doing.
And you said that's what Shaw
push.
That's what Shaw University instilled in you.
Yeah. So now Shaw, let me tell you something. Let me tell you what I also got at Shaw University. In the first part of my and I don't always tell people this part of the story because people have a tendency to take things and blah, blah, blah. But this is what I want to encourage someone. When I've always been average student, right?
Mhm.
I could make a C with no effort,
Mhm.
right? When I went to Shaw, I was scooter looting on. My first semester at Shaw, I discovered things like you didn't have to go to class. I discovered things like uh, partying.
Mhm.
I discovered things like no curfew because we didn't have no curfew when I first went to Shaw. I ain't never lived like that before. No curfew, ain't nobody telling me what to do.
Yep.
Man, I lost 3 minds. Hear me? I got my first semester at Shaw, I got a degree in spades. Cause that's all I did. You take, I'm saying, and spades and junk talking, right? Okay, not just junk talking with spades and stuff like that. Okay, so my GPA my first semester was a 1.9. I went to Shaw wearing skirts and praising the Lord, and I came back at Christmas, cussing and fussing.
Hallelujah.
Won't he do it? Right. Okay. And I corrected myself.
Okay.
I went through some stuff, man. I went through betrayal with friends and people I had trusted.
Wait a minute. You went through all this within one semester?
Bo, I'm telling you, that was the first 2 weeks.
Good gosh.
Within that one semester, I mean, it was just so much happened. But as I tried to figure out who I am, because college also helps you define who you are. And I tell my students, because I also teach Upward Bound at Claflin University, and I tell them it's okay to reinvent yourself. You could come to school and be somebody else. I don't care what the people say about you, but you could discover like who you are. Because a lot of people, if you were stinky pants in the first grade, they're gonna try to call you stinky pants in the 12th grade, right? Okay, right. So they would do that. But you come to college and somebody walk up to you in stinky pants, huh? Because my best friend, one of my best friends in college, she was famous for this. Do I know you? Oh, okay. And I'd be like, girl, she said, I don't know them. I like, you sure don't. I learned that lesson, right? So you can reinvent yourself. But what happened is that I got lost in words from other people. Okay. I got lost in comparing myself to other people. And it wasn't until I got my theater degree, I decided to stay an extra year, right, to get a degree in English. So I had a minor in English.
So did you know what you want to do?
This one I'm telling you, my mama said. Okay. My mother said, well, you're going to need a plan B. You need to get a degree in teaching. Now, I've been teaching most of my life, too, because my mother's a teacher. Mm-hmm. So I would go work with her at Head Start, right? Mm-hmm. And I see my mother do amazing things and stuff. But anyway, so I've always been teaching, playing school and teaching. And my best friend now says that wherever I go, I teach. I'm like, no, I don't. She said, no, you teach everywhere you go. And I'm like, oh, okay. So, but anyway, so I decided to get the degree in English because they didn't have a drama education degree. Okay. Well, when I finally got into the English department, things changed for me. It also changed when I started rooming with Andrea. I hope you're watching. So Andrea, I mean, the best roommate. Me and roommates did not get along in college. Uh-huh. But Andrew was the best roommate. I mean, the absolute best. Hear me? Mm-hmm. And meeting her changed my life. So I had some issues with friends and stuff and things. I mean, my life blew up, right? And I ended up in a room with Andrea, who introduced me to the Pre-Alumni Council. Okay. So I started doing stuff with the Pre-Alumni Council. And I stopped doing some of the other things I had been doing and refocus some of my energy, right? Well, I started doing with the Pre-Alumni Council. I ran for Miss United Negro College Fund and I won. So I was going around with the president promoting the college. I was going to events and everything and doing stuff that I wasn't doing when I first started. Wow. But I also had an encounter with a professor, what is it, Dr. Amanda? Ooh, I I was just telling somebody this story. But when she came to Shaw, she took all of our papers, and I got my paper back from her, and it was red. It was more red than because when I was in school, we could handwrite our papers because, you know, there was no worldwide internet, and there wasn't no all this, and they didn't have a lot of typewriters, so we could hand. But I looked at my paper at Mason, Dr. Amanda Mason, and Dr. Mason showed me how to write a paper. Okay, so then it was Dr. Audrey Ward came through, and then it was a teacher, Dr. Robert Hastings, who was an English teacher, and I wrote this paper on Shakespeare. He brought me into his office, and he sat me down, and he said, "Ursula, you could do so much more." And I can't even remember what he said to me exactly, but I remember being in his office, and he told me that I was so much more. Now, of course, my family had told me and stuff. I even had a teacher in the 6th grade, Mrs. Silos, who would call my mother and tell my mother all the time, Ursula is performing below her level. And, you know, my mama didn't tell me that till after I had graduated. But anyway, so so here I was, this man who believed in me, Dr. Hastings. Well, eventually I started putting in the effort, really putting in the effort.
And that's when you saw the
4.0.
Wow. From a 1.0.
Most promising student in the English department. See, all it takes is a mind shift. Now, you know, we've been talking about that. A mind shift, because I realized that I had much more in me than I ever thought. Wow. I went from this red paper to them telling me that I could have my paper published. I just needed some more sightings on there. I just needed to add some more stuff to it. And she said this could be published. And it was a paper that I wrote about Beloved by Toni Morrison. And yes,
almost creepy.
Yes, rain it on. Rare.
You wrote a paper.
Yes. And then no, it was The Bluest Eye. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It was The Bluest Eye. And if you ever read The Bluest Eye, and know the storyline, then you know how important it was for a Black girl to see herself as beautiful in her own skin. And that is part of what the book is about.
She was looking through the eyes.
Right.
We all know what blue eyes is.
Right. Because she went crazy and thought she had the blue eyes, you know, because that was what saved her mind. So, but the paper and the work that I had been doing, my whole life was different. My whole life had changed, you know. I was doing different things. I was having a whole different kind of experience. But the major component was that I realized that I already had the power to be a 4.0 all the time, right? But I settled for a 1.9 because I value those other experiences. So I tell my students now, balance it. You got to learn how to balance it. You got to manage that time. You know, there is certainly, you want to party and socialize, you can have those things, but you got to do it consciously. And when you do it consciously, you're making decisions about who you're hanging with, where you're going, what's happening. Because I mean, I went a little journey.
My Lord.
To Fayetteville from Raleigh in the summertime with some friends. I thought it was good. We done met some people, went to the house, and my friends left me at the house. Me and another young lady. Yeah, that was a defining moment for me. Because you know what? I drive myself now.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah, I think
look.
Those of us who know,
yeah,
you know, because I'm an old man, and I know I'm a rich boy, anyway, but I've been some spots like, hey, bro, I think
yeah. Nah.
I think I want to be here.
Yeah. Right. Definitely. But right when you are 19.
Even
you don't
19,
necessarily, yeah.
Even at 19, I knew.
Yeah, but see, I didn't. Hey, I was look. All I did was.
I'm a male. I teach you documentaries. I'm out of here.
Good. Different world. Listen, I wish I had known all those things, but I trusted the people, and they got lost. They had went to go to the store and got lost. So that's what happened. But now what I will say is that when you make those conscious decisions about the kind of life that you want to live, then you'll be mindful of some of the things, because you're still developing your decision-making skills. You're still trying to figure out who you are and all the stuff going on. But if you really value who you are, then your decisions will change. Your mindset changes, because I believe that everybody has something wonderful inside of them. Everybody has something to bring to the table. And sometimes I can see it, and sometimes it's not as easily recognizable to me. But you should know that you have something wonderful. So I have students who come here who've been through some horrible things. I've had students who have fought in wars. I have students who have been abused. I've had students who have had where their significant other was trying to keep them from getting their education. So, and I'm just saying that these are things that are not just that just happen here. They happen everywhere, right? So they happen everywhere. But what we try to do is provide them with the opportunities to see themselves differently. If you see yourself differently, then you can see yourself up out of something. Because sometimes it really is not about you walking out the door. It's about your mind turning.
Mindset.
Yeah, that's it. And your mind has to shift.
Okay. So we're going through it. No shout out to the people that left at the house. Don't get no shout out. Because that's no shout out. Okay, so we go on, you graduate, you do your 1 year in theater. When you do your 1 year in the English, get your English. What is that?
Yeah.
You get that?
I have 2 degrees.
Okay.
One in theater and one in English.
One in English. So what is the first thing? All right, it's time to go in the real world. Are you saying, do you have the dream? Let me see. Do you have the dream of, I want to go to New York, I want to go on Broadway, I want to get me a Tony?
Yes. All of that. I had all of that. I had all of those things, right? But I really didn't know how to get it.
Okay.
I didn't know which step to take. So when you're an artist, the road to success is not clearly defined for you.
Correct.
Right? So if you're an accountant, then they say, okay, here, then you apply here, you apply here, you do this. Okay. It's really much clearer than it is for an artist. Now, take 20 years ago, when you're an actor, we didn't have the level of social media that we have now. We didn't have all these things going on now. So if you want to be an actor, yes. Right. New York, LA, and then later on it became Atlanta.
Yeah.
Right.
But
so
Atlanta, like, must even more like, what, the past 5 years maybe?
No, a little bit longer than that, I think. Maybe so. But I think more than 5. Right. Because I've been doing work in Atlanta for the past 5 years.
So we do 10, that's 2018.
Yeah.
2008, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, sorry, that's 2010.
Hey. That's 2010.
Let's start with the math right
212.
now.
Okay, good. Yeah. Because I don't have no degree in that. Sure. But anyway, honey, but I can't count my money.
So you didn't
so right. I just had to throw something in there. That was me being Bo Ghetto. So there was no clear path. And so the first thing I needed to do was get a job so I could pay some bills and what? Pay them student loans.
You got that right. They coming.
What?
You graduate, they give you 3 months, they coming.
Well, I think they came for me 3 weeks later. I was like, oh my Lord. Oh, let me tell you something else I also learned too at Shaw University. I learned the art of networking and being nice to people. And for those people who went to Shaw, the cashier, her name was Mrs. O'Neill. And Mrs. O'Neill had a full mustache. She had like a big mole or something.
Was she in the cafeteria?
She was in the cashier's office.
It's somebody.
It's somebody that, yeah, boy, I'm telling you. But Miss O'Neill, man, she was in the cashier's office now. And you know the cashier's office is very important.
It is.
I learned how to talk to Mrs. O'Neill that after I graduated, I still went back and she still remembered me because I treated her like she was a human being. And I went into the financial aid office one day and people were acting all wah. And I was like, yeah, what is that? I was like, no, I'm going to go in here. I'm going to do something different. And I went in there. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Uh-huh. Yes, ma'am. I changed it up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to get the help that I needed. I was able to do what needed to be done. And I learned that art. So when you go in there and you go in somebody else's territory, you go in somebody else's office, and you trying to tell them, you coming to them with all that chest and all that stuff like that, you're not going to get anything. Because see, all people really want to be
Respect.
treated, they just want to be treated like human beings.
Yeah.
Right? And if you saw that Dave Chappelle special, The Closer, and he said, because we have the human experience. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't drop names.
No,
Okay.
you can't, but I like tread lightly.
Okay.
I know you, but
No, it's his new special. And what he was saying was, and I'm probably giving away some of the ending, but he was talking about the human experience.
correct.
And that's what we're doing. We're having a human experience. People just want to be treated like they are human.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're
And
right.
that's it. You can catch more flies with honey than you can with vinegar. Remember how your parents would tell you that?
That's
But
right.
we didn't believe them.
And
But
that's
yeah.
why to this day, that's why I treat everybody with respect. Oh, and if I don't treat them with respect, it's because they greeted me, they approach me with disrespect, and I will meet force with force.
Well, listen, what I learned sometimes is that when force come with you, what you do is you sugar honey coated. Wow, well, what's going on? Just a way of deflecting it sometimes. But it's just up to you,
Yeah.
right? It's up to you.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, sometimes the flare up will cost you more than you really want to pay. And it just depends upon what it is. Because at the end of the day, I'm walking away from you. What your opinion of me really, that means nothing to me, right? In terms of what is going on between us in this moment, right? So I'll let you think whatever you can think, and I'm going to get what I need to get.
I hear you.
Right? It just depends. So sometimes I go, woo, woo. And I just have people that they drop me a code like, oh, okay.
Okay. I got you.
Yeah, the code word. We have a code word. Oh, okay.
I got you.
Yeah, so we can simmer down. Okay, so I didn't know what I was really wanted to do.
Okay.
I ended up being a teacher's assistant for.
So did you even try before you became teacher? Did you even try to go to New York, or you didn't?
No, I didn't try to do any of those things.
You went straight to be a teacher assistant.
I went, because I was already living on campus.
Okay.
So I already had bills.
You need some in the air.
Right.
And did you start working within that? Because Shaw's in Raleigh.
Mm-hmm.
So you started working in
Let me tell you,
Raleigh district.
When I tell you this, I used to live in Merlin South Apartments. And anybody who's in Raleigh now, I don't know if they're still up, but it was a bad spot, bro. It was bad. But I was like a couple of blocks away from Shirley Caesar's church, right? So like she was like not that far from me. I believe the prayers of the righteous kept me alive. But I was living in the hood, right? So I was definitely living in the hood. And I was, as a teacher's assistant, I started doing, being a teacher's assistant. And I found out that working in a traditional classroom just didn't feed me. Okay. I was the teacher's assistant for 4th and 5th grade students. And I just had me checking papers
even with a
degree. Yeah, that's what I was doing because I wasn't trying to go in to teach math or all that stuff. During that time, there was not a lot of people doing drama in school systems or stuff like that, right? Okay. So then the next year, I was in a contained classroom with the educatively mentally handicapped. That's what they called it.
That is an extreme difference.
Right, it is. But some of the students to me were not there because they had some synapses and things that were firing off wrong. Okay. Some of them were there because of environment.
Gotcha.
Well, I was doing stuff to me that just, I don't think it worked because I had some fetal alcohol syndrome children, so who couldn't remember the letters, couldn't remember the alphabet, and I'm doing the flashcards, because this is what my lead teacher saying, doing the flashcards. I mean, I fell asleep too. Y'all must fall asleep because this right here is just boring. I don't even know how, this is not a methodology that's going to get y'all this information. Okay. But what I discovered, come on now, is when I enacted my gift. So I wrote a play about nutrition. and had them do the thing. And the principal came and it's like, oh, Miss Robinson. And I took Mufaro's daughters, beautiful daughters, the book, and we put it on the stage and we did that stuff. Now that's when I came alive, right?
Okay.
That's when Ursula was really like, yeah, this is what I got to do. And this is what I learned, that all this other stuff is no comparison, because I know you've heard entertainers talk about um, the high and the feeling that you get when you're performing.
Correct.
And when you're doing that. And that's why it could be a trap, because I'm just telling you, there is nothing like being in front of an audience and they are feeling you and you're feeling them. It's everything in you is awake and is alive and is a feeling, man. It's like, whoa, wow. And even when I'm doing even my videos and doing this, even when I'm speaking, that feeling, that thing that happens to me, there's nothing that can compare to it. And what happens sometimes is that artists, when you're on all the time, right? When it's time to be off, it feels funny. So you take something so you can be on again. You get what I'm saying? That's how.
I got a side question. Right there.
Okay.
Do you think that's why a lot of theater and acting people are end up having drug issues because of that high?
Yes.
And they still, because they don't want to come down off the high stage?
Because see, when I'm in front of the stage and everything, I know exactly who I am, and I'm a master at it. I know how to move. I know how to bring the audience with me and take them here and there and see you in your element. I think this is just the purest form of a high that you can get without drugs, without that, you know what I mean? So it's if you ain't never experienced it, I don't know if I can tell you, but I think athletes have it too. When the things
athletes have it, or musicians have it, when you know you're killing and you know you're at the highest level and you just rocking. I think anybody in any arts.
In the arts, where you in front of people. Because see,
correct.
I don't know, I'm thinking about this. I don't know if people who are really good cooks, who are not in front of people cooking, who just in their house cooking, and their gift is cooking, and they be in there doing and like they going I'm killing this meatloaf.
I think they gift come when they see somebody eating, they be like,
yeah, that's good. But it's a different kind of high. It's a different thing to me, but somebody else may got it.
Cooks on. Well, I take that back. But still, because of the high too, when you get that level of chef, I take that back. So I guess it could be for that. I think when you think about Big Mama cooking, when you talk about those high-end chefs, they end up having a lot of issues also.
Right, because there's a pressure too to stay on top, to be on top. And I think that is for some people that you have to deal with that, because you have to deal with not being on. Now, the thing about me is that in my natural day life, I'm on. That's just how I am. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hit my little thing, but I'm naturally unusual.
You have a natural high.
Yeah, I'm naturally unusual. I'm not like people. It took me years to be able to be like, yeah, that's just not who I am. It's just not who I am. I'm that one that's gonna probably say something that's gonna make either people laugh, or they're gonna say something and be like, huh, or what. I'm that one that's gonna probably do the unexpected thing or whatever like that. So that's just who I am, and it's how God made me. Now, the beauty of that is I don't think in linear ways. I don't think this way. I think in zigzags. I create stuff that never existed. I think of things that people could never fathom. I think of word combinations and story ideas and stuff, and putting things together. And that's who I am as a creative person. So like sometimes when I'm talking to people and they're saying to me, my brain is running with ideas, and I'm trying to give it to them, and sometimes I'm stumbling with myself because the ideas are coming so fast, because that's how my mind works. But what I've had to learn to do is to simmer,
slow it down,
and sit. Because sometimes people don't want your seasoning in their pot. and I'll just go,
That's
that's nice.
that's a good. That's a
Right.
good one.
Yeah, because you got to learn how to control, what you have. You got to learn how to control over you. So, and it's just something that I'm learning, because like, I'm like, boom, I'm like, oh man, oh wow. And people who know me, like my best friend, my homie, my ride and lives, like in Orangeburg and stuff, and my best friend and stuff, my sister, after a performance, they know that they're going to have to talk to me, that there's going to have to be a downtime for me where I come down, because like, even if I'm not performing, if I've directed something, if I've gone through that, there's a time when I'm like this, because what happens is that there's so much tension about, is this going to be that moment? Is this going to be, and you like this, you like this the whole time. So when it ends, you're like, woo!
I'm glad it's over.
Yeah, I'm glad it's over, but it was slamming. Oh, we did that. You're like, did you see that? Did you see that moment? Did you like, yeah? And so sometimes it only takes somebody who understands that to kind of vibe with you.
Okay.
But I think it out, and look, I'm just obvious shout out, but Carletta and my girlfriend Carletta and Alicia Lily, they kind of know that about me, so they always are there to kind of help me make that transition to real life. All right, come on down, baby, or come on this. And so I know you like this, so they know I got to have that down. I got to whine because I got to go over moments. Did you see when this? Did you do the? Oh man, she's like, oh yeah, and stuff. And Carletta's gonna call me. She said, I know you just got through doing your show. I know you do this, and you got to come. She like, well, come on. Yeah, come on. Yeah, so it's good.
Okay, so you do this play with the babies.
Right, I do the
And
play
you
with the
say,
babies. And
I think I got my swagger back.
I think I know. Yeah, that's what it is. And then my grandmother dies.
Grandmother dies.
Yeah, the one who's from Orangeburg.
Orangeburg.
So she dies. I go home to Greensboro, and everybody on my family saying, well, what are you doing with yourself? Or what you gonna do? And I go, I really got this idea. I want to be this. I want to kind of do this. I'm a little bit into the scene with the people in Raleigh. And at that time, I was selling hot dogs on the mall in Raleigh, making it was good money. And at the time, because I was just staying, my bills were not real expensive. So, and no, excuse me, this was when I was working for a gas station.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good movie right there. Because the characters that work with me, that's something. And the people who came in the store, right? Okay. So, and my grandmother died, and it really made me think about my life.
Okay.
Like, okay, so you want this dream, you want this. My dream school was Tisch. It was in New York, Tisch School of the Arts.
Okay.
And I was like, I looked at the money, how much it cost, and I was like, oh, girl, you can't do that. You can't do that. And I was like, oh, I hesitated. And I don't even know how this came to me, but I applied at University of North Carolina at Greensboro, which is where I was from. But I wanted to come back home. There were some things I wanted to do, some stuff I wanted to do. And I applied, and I got an assistantship. Yes. And so I went to UNCG, and it was a great experience. I learned so much. Let me tell you something that I'm just telling you, I had good stuff and bad stuff. But one of the things that I learned in dealing with our people is that I was the only African-American on assistantship, right? Listen now, I'm spilling beans. Look at all these tea. In our day, we were spilling beans. Pick up all this tea. I was the only African-American there, who had an assistantship. But I also was going to school with my best friend, Tammy Mack. So, and so
Tammy Mack from the
right, Tammy Mack from so Tammy Tammy is getting cast at A&T. I'm in a show every semester at UNCG.
What do you mean she's getting cast at A&T?
So she was, instead of them casting her at UNCG, she was getting her shows at North Carolina A&T.
Okay.
She was going over there and she was being in their plays. And so she was in some at UNCG, but not
Why would
like
they do
me.
that? I'm not figuring out. So she's going to USCG,
Yeah, she's a graduate student, but
but
they
is she going for the plays and not getting them, and then going to A&T and getting them? Or what's going on?
I can't really explain kind of what was going on, but the dynamic was such that like if you talk to her now, she'll give you a whole story. And she talked about it a lot about what was happening because there were some who felt like they overlooked her because she was African American, but I was like, but I was African American, but I did a lot of children's plays and I played a lot of different things. We had different body types. We had this. So now we both of us killed. Now we both we slathered the stage now. Okay. So it wasn't that, but it's like I don't know if they knew what to do with her. And so so she found stuff there and she had some stuff at UNCG. But what I did was, how about this? Check this out. I wrote some plays and I pulled in all of the African American people around me. In fact,
how was that perceived?
Well, I'm very quiet spoken now, but as a graduate student, I was a bit of a rebel. I was more of a Malcolm X than a Martin Luther King.
I hear you ask you rebel.
Yeah, I was like, I was this. And so, and this is what I learned in that experience. We did a play, I think it's As You Like It, but it's a Shakespearean play.
Okay.
And it was my first time kind of doing something like this. So I was so excited, but I was playing Audrey, who was a milkmaid, and they had me in this costume and the person, and I was the only African-American girl in the play. Okay. And so, I had to be bouncing around and doing all this stuff. Now I was having a ball. The members of the Black People Committee came to me. I think after the first show, and they came. I'm thinking they're gonna congratulate me because I'm really excited. I'm doing Shakespeare because this is the deep stuff I want to do. I want one of those artists who did this. I want to do deep stuff. I want to do Medea, like Euripides Medea. I want to do this. I'm deep. And they surrounded me in the dressing room. They're like, "Yeah, congratulations!" Like, yeah, you're the only Black person in the show, and you playing a hoe. You felt it?
It's almost like if I was been there and they had me play a drug dealer.
Yeah, right.
Or a pimp.
Right. But see, that wasn't the person who cast me. That was never his intent. His intent was because I had great comedy. I had good comic timing. I was a big girl and he put me with a really small dude.
Okay.
And so what he was playing on was these things to make the comedy.
But I got a question. It's comedy. You don't think it could?
Well, we only had two African Americans in the graduate program.
You don't think something that could be subconsciously done without being consciously done? But still
no,
has the same effect?
because when I actually had the conversation with him, he was hurt because he was like, there was never the intention. Because I had conversations with the director because he was my advisor. I had conversations with him about color and about these kind of things. So when they said it to me, what I did was I internalized it, right? And I withdrew from the performance, right? Instead of taking this opportunity to do what I had wanted to do, which was Shakespeare, right? When the coalition came, and everything had set me down, and then and my director didn't know until I was older, and I told him, and he was like, "Why didn't you tell me, Ursula? I could have talked this over with you. Why didn't you tell me? Do you think this is what I would do?" And I'm like, "No, I know this wasn't what the thing," but at the time, it crushed me.
And at this time, was there a whole lot of turmoil going on in the United States?
See, no, I can't think of anything. I know it's turmoil going on with that because I was the one going around, we ain't doing enough Black plays. We're not doing this, and we're not doing this. I was very radical, right? But I didn't sit back and look at how a university functions. Right. You got to understand how the system works.
And you had a WIP.
Right. Come on now.
So,
So, and I'm not saying that they were biased or anything. Some of the best stuff I ever learned, I learned at UNCG. I'm telling you, it took me places that I never imagined, right? So if I hadn't had the UNCG experience, I wouldn't be who I am now, because it stretched my acting to places I never thought I could go.
Okay.
Right? It taught me technique. It taught me, because see, I was naturally gifted, but I didn't necessarily have technique.
Okay.
So what technique does, and what you know when you're doing coaching with football, you got a young man who's naturally gifted with speed or whatever, but he doesn't know how to control it. He don't know how to use it. He don't know how to apply his, as the people say, his good arm. You know, you got a good arm, but you're not throwing the ball at the right time. Your timing is off. This is not going to do that, because you got to have technique along with talent, because talent can be a trap.
Correct.
That's what I teach my kids that too. Talent can be a trap, because all you do is talent, and you won't train, and you won't get the technique, and then all you'll be is somebody with some good talent.
That's very true.
Yeah.
That's very true. Okay, so we get there.
Yeah. Boy, I mean, y'all spending a whole lot of tea, boy.
After you know.
Oh my Lord.
Hey, this is the thing. I mean, hey, I'm just in the car. I let you drive it. I might just point and say, hey, can you turn off here? Turn off here. You drive. Okay, so you go to USC, you have a great experience.
Yeah.
Obviously, you go and you learn and you graduate. So what happens? Cause I want to get from I see it's a gap. So how you go from teacher's aide,
right,
to professor?
To professional, okay.
Professor.
And so listen, and we had arguments with people about, so what is a professional? It's just somebody who's getting paid for it.
No, not professional.
Right. Okay.
I said professor.
Professor. Oh, okay. Now, let me tell you how this. Let me tell you how this professor got here. This is a funny story. So at North Carolina A&T, the person over the program was Frankie Day, who graduated from South Carolina State. And a lot of people don't know that the theater program at South Carolina State and the theater program at North Carolina A&T, both of them were up under, at some point in time, H.D. Flowers. So H.D. Flowers is a iconic name in HBCU educational theater. So he had been at both places, right? So there were lots of intermingling and stuff of people, in terms of these people know these people, and the world of Black theater is smaller than you really think it is, especially Black educational theater. So Frankie had gotten a call from Frank Mundy at South Carolina State saying that he was looking for a assistant professor.
How long had Mr. Mundy had been here?
Mr. Mundy was here 37 years.
Okay.
Yeah, 37 years. So so that's how I found out about the job here. And it's funny because my best friend at the time graduated from South Carolina State. So yeah, he brought me here for my interview. Yeah. So at the time, when I graduated from UNCG, I started working in the school system. I was teaching 57%. So I would teach in the morning, and then in the afternoon, I would go to A&T and teach classes as an adjunct. And so that's what I did for about 2 years. And then I found out about this position. And so I came here, and I've been here. So what did I do since I've been here? Well, started a production company.
So no.
Okay, I'm sorry. Too soon? Okay, then I'm
slow down a little bit. So you get a job here. How long does it take you from you driving here and he said, Ms. Robinson, we want to give you the job to be assistant professor? How fast was that? How long was that process?
Months.
Well,
this is funny. I called Mr. Mundy, and he called me back, right? But he called me back at A&T, right? And they put a message in my box. Then they put other stuff on top of it. I talked to him, I don't know, maybe it might have been, maybe I talked to him in the early part of the summer. I didn't see that message till like November or December.
That's why you still had a job.
Right. So, right, but he hadn't offered me the job yet. He was like, blah, blah. Okay. We were talking, and I told him, right. So then I get the opportunity to come to do No, I think I sent him my information or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. And I don't think I really came. I came for the interview. Oh man, sometime in November, or December. Okay,
Okay.
I came for the interview and everything. They had to do paperwork, do all that stuff like that. And so, oh man, it was just a whole lot of red tape. They promised me the job. Then this came up. Then there was some red tape with this. So I borrowed because I didn't have my own car. I borrowed my brother's car. I put Tammy Mac's her Mac computer in the back of my brother's. It was a sports car, so I had to squeeze in it.
Mm-hmm.
I put that in. I put a week's worth of clothes,
Mm-hmm.
and I came to Orangeburg, and I stayed with my cousin. Had married this young lady whose family lives in Orangeburg, and her uncle let me stay with him while I was here for the week.
Good Lord.
Yeah, and I came and I said, "Where's my job? What's going on?" And they gave me a temporary contract, P13, and I got my official contract in April. And I've been here ever since January of 1999.
And that's yeah.
1999. It's 22 years, I think.
Wow.
I did it on Google. Google said 22 years.
22 years.
22 years, right.
Wow.
And this January will be 23.
And you've been there a long time.
Yeah. My plan was only to stay here for 5. Yeah.
5 and do what?
Move to New York or do something because my best friend Tammy had moved to LA and I was gonna move to LA with Tammy and all stuff like that. And but God, of course, had different plans, right? But one of the things that happened to me at UNCG was I wanted to try to get into the business and I was doing different kind of trying to figure out how to do things and stuff. But I was also had struggling because I was trying to make bills meet because with an assistantship, I didn't get that much money.
Okay.
So, I mean, I got money. So I really didn't have to work if I stayed on campus. But of course I couldn't do that, right? So I stayed on campus, right? And then I also started doing radio with Tammy. I started doing personalities on the radio and I started doing all that stuff like that. And I really enjoying all this stuff that I'm doing, right? So, in fact, I had some of the people from the radio station and everything in one of my plays, Life and Times of an African Queen. In fact, if you remember, for those people from Charleston, remember Deja D. So Deja D was going to school with me and Tammy. So all of us went to school at the same time, and Deja D was in my play, and Tammy was in my play, and so and I had some other people. They had advertised it on the radio, and oh man, I was big time. You know, couldn't tell me I was what. I was Greensboro famous.
That's how you
right, Greensboro famous. Right. Okay. So, well, I had a meeting with an older agent, and someone was trying to hook me up with it. And as I was talking to the lady, I already had fears because at that time, I felt like the industry didn't welcome big black women who couldn't sing because I'm not a singer, although I do sing on TikTok. So I'm not a real singer. You like how I did that, right? Okay. I'm not a real singer, so I was thinking the industry didn't welcome me. I had my own fears and insecurities. And what she said to me, she was like, okay, and this is what I remember. And she could have actually said something entirely different. But what I remember or what I took away from it was that because of my size, that things would be kind of rough for me because I would be playing older women, right? Because I was a big woman, but I had a really young looking face. Now the industry was very different then. They were not looking for, now they're looking for interesting faces and they're looking for real people. So sometimes they'll hire, and like you see the advertisement, we want a real fireman. We want this because we want the people to have that realisticness about them. So at that time, in my opinion, they were looking more for people who had a certain kind of look or something like this, and that was probably in my head, dipped into my insecurities at that time. And so I was like, okay, it was a hard pill to eat, but instead of me going like, oh, boom, well, they're going to let me in, they're going to do this. No, what I did was like, I went this way. Because see, one of the other things I like to do too is teach. All right. So I started doing this. One of the other things I like to do is write and produce and act. And so all those things, act in theater and stuff. So I kind of did a curve this way.
Yeah, just took more of it.
Right. And so I went this way. And I'm trying to think. it might have been. I had Deja D came to speak to us one year, and that was a year right before her career just blew up, right? And so, as she was talking to the students and everything, I really began to think about what I was doing and where I wanted to go. And the year my mother died in 2012, I was actually putting together the South Carolina Theater Association, their conference, the festival, and Tammy Mack came down. She was a speaker. We had Kel Mitchell came down, and he was a speaker, and yes, Keenan and Kel. I'm sorry, and Andrea.
No,
Craven.
I just said it.
Okay.
So that the younger audience would know it's Kel from
Keenan and Kel. Okay, yeah. So they came, and also Andrea Craven. And Andrea Craven was a casting. It still is a casting director. And so she came down, and we had some other casting directors, and they did this. And Tammy did a monologue slam, so like the one she did in L.A., but she did it here. And at the time, I call him my son, Erskine Johnson. He participated in that. And so, I talked to Andrea, and Andrea's like, oh, I would pick this person. And she did some stuff. And so because of that connection, he started being in the game. So he was in the game as a football player in his senior year here at South Carolina State.
Wow.
He started doing, I'll tell you who he is. Remember on Atlanta, the dude on the commercial that said the price, the Arizona thing, the price is on the can.
Yeah.
That's him. Right. So now this he was doing while a senior here at South Carolina State. So Andrea Craven does some background casting for Bill Marinella in Atlanta. So I started submitting stuff for her. So I was like, okay, while I'm here running the program, I'm writing, I'm directing, I'm doing that. I'm like, I'm getting my foot back in the door. And it was Andrea who she just blessed me so, because I got the opportunity to be background and to work different things. And I've had for when Star came out, and they were just nobody knew the name, and they were just kind of filming it. I had opportunity I was the last two between this to be a featured extra on the thing, to play, not a featured extra, to play this role on the thing, and they end up picking the other person, you know what I'm saying? But all of that happened because Andrea, really, and I'm not saying that she did more for me than she did anyone else, but she was just who she was. She did what everybody else did. Yeah, she did what everyone else did, and she thought I had talent and I had this, and so because of her, I was getting in doing wonderful stuff. And so I'm traveling from here to Atlanta and coming back and doing this stuff like that. And then,
and what year is this?
This is 2012.
Okay.
2013, 2014. I'm doing all this stuff like this.
Okay.
And then I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna get serious about really doing this, get my headshots, doing all this stuff. And I really made a lot of excuses because I had so much on my plate.
Okay, but now that's pause for a second, because now this is when I get a thing. So I got a question, but that's when you add in. I'm gonna tell you what I remember, and I'm gonna ask you what your opinion is. Because even as a playwright, what would you say that your biggest playwright on state was?
On state was the church fight. Everybody, fight. That was one of the things.
Well, I remember when you had church fight. This thing. The
Henderson Davis Theater.
Henderson Davis Theaters was sold out. All shows.
Oh yes.
Packed. Sunday night, standing ovation. Yeah. I'm not even putting no cap on it.
No.
And it was, and I was young, and I remember it being good.
Yeah.
So I got a question. So, because that had to be the high. So when you did that play, did you think then I'm about to go on the road? Because at that time, not compared to Tyler Perry, because you are Ursula Robinson,
right.
you are. But at that time, the Tyler Perry things, I don't think
it was out. It was kind of out.
It was still like the stage page.
Yeah.
David E. Talbot.
Yeah.
Because those are the only two guys that had like
Jacarius Johnson and that stuff. So now all those things were kind of happening, but they weren't as big as they are now. Right. Okay. So what happened man, church fight was just like awesome, and it's like, it was just wonderful. But it was about 15 people. That's too many people to take on the road. First of all, it was a lot of folks to take on the road, and it was great. And I did other things and stuff after that. But at some point in time, I got
It burn you out?
I got burned out because I had so much on me because I was single-handedly running this program, doing everything. I was doing everything.
And weren't you also in the play and directing the play?
Yeah.
Were you in it or were you in it?
No. I had to come on stage and sit some people down. I think, and I don't know if that was it. No, I wasn't in that one, but I have been in some. Yeah, but I wasn't in that one. But the thing is that I had so much going on because see, not only what do I write here, but I also have other clients that I write. I do tailor-made entertainment. So I will write something for one of the plays that I wrote was for Pastor Jimmy Patterson. I wrote a play about his life. And so I also work with different organizations to write plays for whatever they're having.
So you're a ghost
and
writer.
I do that, yes.
You're a ghost playwright.
No, I'm not ghost. I put my name on it.
You're right, because I guess as a playwright, you just selling the right to the play.
Right. No, I still own the rights.
No, I got a question. But still can like a David E. Tyler come and say, I want to buy your play, but I don't know how the publishing works. Your name is on it as far as the publishing split, but the play doesn't have your name on it. Can you do that?
Yeah, you could do a ghostwriting situation where
you still
you're writing. Oh, no. They pay you your money and their name goes on it. So like when people do the writing and stuff that like they do for television and stuff, it's a team of writers.
Yes.
Right. And so, but really it depends upon how it's done. But like Shonda Rhimes, when you go and look on her stuff, look and see what her name is. Right. She may come and drop, I want this, or whatever. I don't know exactly how she may work, right? Because everybody got their own methodology. But she's not in that room every day, like that.
Like Tyler is.
I don't think Tyler's doing that either.
He said he still writes his stuff.
No, he may still be writing his stuff, but I don't know if he can do all that he's doing and write every day.
If it's a lie, he tell it.
No, he may stop telling you, Tyler. I didn't say it. If he says he's still writing, then he's still writing.
Because he said he was having issues. He said he can't have too many issues with writers.
And he may still be writing, so I don't know. But I know the basic framework of it is where you have a team of people kind of working and doing different things. You know what I mean? So, but then because I was just looking at this where someone was negotiating a contract for this, where you'll have created by or written by, and then you put down the writers away. It just depends upon how it works. Okay, now for different things work differently depending upon the venue. You didn't try to sell church fight? Because I'm going to tell guys, church fight was a really, really, or even try to record it. That was a really, really, honey, that's a whole other story. It got recorded. And it was such a bad recording that I couldn't even use it. And then that almost started another church fight. So I won't even go into that because we'll let that lay where it lay. But the recording of it wasn't a great recording. Even though the person was supposed to be a professional person who did it, it wasn't a great recording. What I have learned since then is that when you are recording plays and everything, you need at least 2 cameras, right? And you need the sound to be to come from the different source to be able to be able to plug in it. And so all this other different stuff that we didn't really have. So what we're doing is just
that wasn't your job. That was supposed to be the cameraman job.
Right. There's somebody, but somebody else, like this. But this person, I think, really only did like church programs and stuff like that. So you got to have experience in filming theater, right, in order to do all that stuff. And now this is stuff I learned later when I was part of I'm still part of the Urban Playwrights United. And so through that is where I learned, so much about the industry and about everything that's going on and all the stuff that's happening. So once you got to learn the business, and what was accepted 2 months ago,
could
have changed.
Technology is constantly evolving.
Right, but also too, the industry changes all the time. Okay. So before the pandemic, we still had people doing what we call self tapes in order to send your tapes into different
Mm-hmm.
people. But now after the pandemic, we have it's more acceptable now because there's a lot of things that were not as acceptable in terms of the quality of the sound and those kind of things. But now it's different because
Mm-hmm.
everybody is at home doing, their thing. So it's a different way that people look at stuff. Now, when we finally come out of this pandemicals,
Mm-hmm.
what will the industry do? I believe that self-taping and doing Zoom callbacks or those things, I believe it's going to stay because what happened is it opened up the world.
Yes.
Right. So it made it possible for people everywhere to
Mm-hmm.
participate
Mm-hmm.
in different kind of things. You know what I
Okay.
mean? And so, and I think that it was a great thing.
Okay.
So I don't believe that it will go away, but they probably will start doing more in-person auditions and all those kind of things.
Okay.
But I'm praying that we still stick with the self-tape and doing the things because the self-taping really has been
Okay.
beneficial to me.
Okay. I
It's
see.
been
I see.
great.
Okay, so that's talking about. So now we know Ursula she did the plays, great playwright. And I'm not just saying that just because my base is great playwright. And I think her work can speak for herself. Okay, so now we going this. Now let's get into Ursula Robin, the actor. Not the thespian, what you still call thespian,
Right.
playwright, but not the Broadway, not the play actor, the film actress.
Film actress.
So,
Dun, dun,
so
dun.
that I remember the first thing I seen you on was when they did a movie with about the
By
pastor.
Carlton Pearson.
Carlton Pearson.
Come Sunday.
Come Sunday.
Right.
So you started with that.
Andrea Craven.
Yep,
Yeah,
okay.
Andrea Craven
Come Sunday.
cast me for a background
So
for that.
then, how does it feel now to now? Because you guys see, if you guys look in the caption above this video right now is a list of the movies that appeared in. And I know for those who are hating and those who are nosy, I'm pretty sure you guys have Googled these movies and she's in there. As you guys see, I was like five or six movies right above. Up, hit the link. If you're on YouTube, it's underneath. Facebook is up top. Instagram is underneath also.
You better do that thing, brother. Go ahead, brother.
And if you listen on podcast format, it's in the description. So you start getting these. What's the difference? How is the movie? How is that?
Well,
drive?
okay, so this is what happens. So, as I'm starting to do the background work and doing the things,
Mm-hmm.
I start writing. I'm still writing. I usually write a production at least 2 new plays every year.
Wow. Okay.
So I still do those things, but I started collaborating with my students on some things.
Okay.
And we started doing stuff and we started working that way. But I'm really, really getting serious about this is what I want to do. This is what I wanted the opportunity to do this, to put my foot out there into the water. And so I started creating an actors access page where I had my headshots and I started putting my foot out there, start doing self-taping and start doing stuff. But I also too got some training.
Okay.
And one of the let me go back. When I joined Urban Playwrights United, I met Tangi Beatty, who's a playwright and one of the owners of Wild Production.
Okay.
And through her, I met Arisha Connor Frierson, who is like my unofficial manager. But through Arisha, she connected me to all these different things. And one of the persons that she connected me to was Christine Horn. And so Christine Horn is an actress, but she also has the Book More TV, and the Booking Magnet Academy. Where what she does is she teaches you, I want to say it's systematic, but she teaches you a method for entering into the industry.
Okay.
And so at first I just started following, and she has like maybe 300 or some videos about getting into film and television, so you can look at all that stuff. And so I finally became a part of the Bookmore TV, and she did a episode that talked about environment. So when you're acting and when you have the opportunity to do an audition, what you have to do is clearly communicate your environment. But you can't go, oh, this is my thing here and this is my thing. It's all in your actions, and it changes the way you present, whatever it is that you're doing. So I had just watched that, and I had put in when you go on Actors Access, you go on Actors Access and you click on a particular character and you submit yourself for it. That's what I submitted myself for, something for Justin Long's The Lady of the Manor. But if you watch the movie, the blonde girl in the jail cell is what I had submitted myself for that particular role. They sent back something to all of the women who had submitted themselves for that particular role. They said, hey, we forgot to do this particular role or whatever. The first person who sends back a great audition, you're going to get this role. Right? Okay. So I had just watched the module, right? So I understood the environment, and I was just a clerk at the thing who was tired of these people asking me questions. So I did this. May I help you, please? And nailed the audition, sent it in less than 30 minutes. Everything. Nailed it, edited, did everything, sent it in. Because what I had learned from Christine had clicked so in my head that I got out of my head. Because see, now I know I can kill the stage. I know that I can write. I know that I can teach. But I didn't know if I could conquer that camera. And the doubts, right? The doubts were holding me back. So after watching that module, I just killed the audition, sent it to them. I think maybe the next day, a couple of days later or something, I got from them, hey, you've been cast in this role. Yeah. So I had no agent. So I negotiated everything myself. And ended up going to Florida, and went to Florida. I also got a chance to meet to spend some time with my family while I was there. Now, before then, I want to go back to, before then, I was working with MEA Entertainment, who were in Orangeburg. Right. And they cast me as a lead in their movie, The Last Don. Right.
And this is the Orangeburg movie, and they got their own production company. Shout out to the Bird for having their own production.
Yes, the Adams. And let me tell you something. They also did films that we use in our plays. They built props for us. They became such a part of what we were doing, right? And the opportunity for my students to be able to work on a film, to be able to do that stuff. I mean, you can't pay for that. You can't pay for that. And then when I went for a role that was in that one scene, when I auditioned, they're like, we think you might be good for this. And then that's when I got a lead role. And then, and I don't know if you ever see this video, you'd be like, Lord. I think I had some fake lashes put on my eye, and they had a really nice an award ceremony, and they gave me Best Actress. And I cried so much that my eyelash can come down like this, everything. And I cried because I had doubted myself so much. But here was this visible proof. Now, and here it is, And so once I conquered all of that stuff, because acting requires you to develop tough skin, because you could take it personal when I say, no, this ain't what I'm looking for. But you can't take it personal because it's about what I'm looking for. And so it ain't that you are not talented. Yeah. You don't maybe have the body type. Or maybe you don't, right.
The director's vision.
Right. And maybe you don't look as good with this person. Like I did the play, I did Fences by August Wilson, and I played Rose. And because I'm a big stocky woman, the guy who played it, now I thought he was kind of stocky, but in the fight, there's a little fight scene in it. And the director said, Ursula, hold on. I need you to just simmer down a little bit because you look like you could take them. So I said, okay. I was like, all right. I had to go like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Okay, I'll do it. How about we do it this way? Like, yeah. She said, because I just got a feeling you're going to flip him. And I was like, okay, then, so we had to bring some different energy. Right. So, but all those things come to play. So if you don't conquer your fears, your fears will eat you alive. In this business. Okay. So now I still deal with that thing. It's this, you submit it and you got to move on. Well, I went and did it. And then when I showed up on set, it was Justin Long, oh Lord, Linsky, and Greer. Now these are people that I've seen on TV and that I've seen in movies and different things. And so when I came on set, I was like, oh my goodness, right? And when I started doing the scene, they were like, oh my gosh, she can really act. That's what they said. They're like, you're so good. They stop in the thing and they go, oh, you're so good. Like, she's good. And I'm like, okay, thank you. And then Justin Long's give me direction and I'm doing like this. And I'm doing my little scene and and it was just beautiful. Hear me? And then at the end, I'm talking to Justin Long and to his brother. And then we're talking about, they have an uncle who lives in Greenville. And I was just telling them stories about South Carolina and making really bad jokes and also stuff like that. And it was great. And it was like, thank you so much for doing this. And so, but the experience for me was like, wow, so
I'm one of them. And somebody who does this already, they see what I don't see.
Right, because I was still shaking on that confidence thing, right? Okay, so then I go from there and I still don't have an agent, but I'm submitting myself for stuff and I'm still doing things and I'm still doing stuff. And I finally, when the pandemic first came about, what a lot of casting agents were doing was asking people to just send in auditions. We want to meet new people. And Jason Kennedy, who is the casting director for NCI, along with us is Kennedy, Bluestein and Kennedy is the name of the company. And he said, okay, send in his auditions. And my other go-to, Deneen Rochelle, Deneen was like, oh, Ursula, just do this thing. I said, Deneen, I'm not doing all these 100. It was like everybody had something. I said, Deneen, I don't have time to do all this. I'm trying to figure out how to teach and run a program from home. And I'm like, she said, Ursula, just do that. I said, I'm gonna do this one. So I did the one for Jason Kennedy, and I think I might have done that in, I don't know, in April or something, and towards about maybe August or something. So now I did that right after I just went to Florida, right before the pandemic. I taped the Lady of the Manor, and then maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, the country shuts down. Okay, then I did the Jason Kennedy, and I'm still auditioning, still doing things. And Jason Kennedy sends me a message in my DM. It's a message you want. And he was like, Ursula, I see that you don't have representation and everything. Is that correct? He said, I'm doing something, a feature of African-American actors who don't have representation. And so I don't even know how many he did, but they got over 50,000 audition tapes. And I don't know if it was 100 African-American actors that he posted on his Instagram page. And so it was on there. It said, not represented, but not for long, unrepresented, but not for long. Black actors matter. And he's like, I'm trying to get all these people because they're talented, get them agents. And so where before I was struggling because I had that fear, like, let me go. Then it turned around to, I'm like, wow, now I got agents calling me.
Gotta do it.
Yeah. Won't he do it? I'm like, wow. And so then I had a choice. of agents.
You get to choose.
Right, and I had choice of agents. So I started working with the McCray agency out of Nashville, Tennessee, and I was doing freelance with them and working with them and stuff. And then I landed Starz on Starz television show. I'm on. Oh, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this or not.
Don't say it.
Yeah, but okay, but it's look, it's on my Actors Access.
Yes.
So when you're gonna see me, I believe it's gonna be November 17th. I'm gonna let you know where to tune in and to see me on a television show. Yeah. Right? Okay, so I start doing that and I'm start going off and I'm getting availability. So what happens is when you click the button to submit yourself, right? Or if your agent pitches for you to do something, then they'll send you the invitation to audition. What I've come to learn is that when you get an invitation to audition, that means you've already won because they may get 10,000 and they're not going to ask 10,000 people to send in auditions. So they may do a couple of hundred, they may do whatever, depends, right? So you get the invitation, that's a win. Once you send in your audition and they come back and say, do an availability check. Are you available for this, and this? I'm like, yeah, I'm available whenever you are, baby. When you got it, you got it. Okay, that's another win. So you wait to see, they may have a short list of people or whatever, and then you go through the process. So sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. So I've had more availability checks than I've had actual roles, which happens, right? But then things will switch. I've had casting agents who love what I do, and they're always trying to find stuff. And so the whole thing changed all the way around. I started taking classes. I started meeting people, making connections and networking, all because of Ursula. Ursula has turned me on to all kinds of things. Ursula, this is what I'm doing. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. And I'm like, okay, we're doing this and doing this. And then I've had coaching from Tammy. I've had coaching from Deja D. I met these incredible people who are icons in the acting industry. And I've taken classes. Let me tell you something. If folks tell you not to take classes, run. In anything. You got to be trained. Correct. You got to get the training. Correct. And maybe you can find what you can find for free, but when you make that sacrifice and pay for it,
make a difference.
It's a difference. It really is different. I'm not saying everybody needs to get your pay, but you need to be led to the right one, the right person, and you get there and it changed. And so a lot of things changed for me. And I took a scene, I did a class, and the class was with Joy Purvis of J. Purvis Talent Agency in Atlanta. Okay. And so I submitted my tape and she's like, oh, Ursula, I loved it and this. And I was like, okay. And then the other people were talking and asking her questions. And at the end, and I just said, I just want to thank you for your positive feedback and I appreciate it. And then we started talking about the seat because my seat is a gaming chair. And then we were talking about the gaming chair and all the stuff like that. And then, this led to this. And now I'm signed with J. Purvis Talent Agency. And they are my representation for commercial, for New York, for LA, for Atlanta. So, yeah.
And we
right. And listen, and this is the thing. They were the agency that I wanted to get with, but I was too scared to send the agency email.
Don't worry about it. I got you.
Yes.
Because you playing.
Boom. Yes. Come on now.
Because you playing.
You playing around with it. And guess what? So they're also the agent for Ursula. For my
And also working blessing. So now
I'm here on the different thing.
We're doing the thing. So do you feel as though and I don't know why I thought about this. I might be saying his name wrong. I thought about your career. I think his name is not Craig Melvin. Craig Melvin, the guy from That's Good Morning America. It's the guy, he was in Hot Tub Time Machine. The black guy with the afro. Because he started acting late because he actually was a music teacher.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He's a music teacher.
I love him. He's so funny.
Is
it Craig Robinson?
Craig Robinson.
Yeah.
Who just found his way in these community roles. He was a middle school music teacher.
Oh man, that's awesome.
And then when I see how big he is, I'm like, that's gonna be Ursula.
Come on now, that's what I'm talking about.
your acting career, because you already had a career as far as teaching and playwriting
Yes.
and play acting on stage, but now you're going to
Yeah,
the
to a
next
whole
phase.
the next year. And this is I had people say, well, why are you doing this or why are you doing this? Because see what it really started with, and what people don't know is that it started with when I conquered my fear of posting me doing a video on Facebook.
Earth said it.
Earth said it.
Earth said it.
And somebody, and I said, and I was putting out there, Earth said it, and somebody came to me talking about, you know, somebody else got that
So,
out there that said da 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 da.
so
And I was like that, and I was like, oh well, maybe I like no, but I'm Earth.
you know,
And I said it, and I had to let that woo woo woo, because people gonna come, and sometimes it's not meant to be.
Don't put your insecurities.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's what they do. They think they're helping you out, but they actually putting the insecurities on you.
Right.
You keep them insecurities for you.
Boom. Who said it?
And I like because
Marvin
I
said
just
it.
posted a video today for shout out Anton Juice Parks, who's a state. He went to state, and his video today he was saying how. Well, I made a post. I made a clip. I put a clip today. He was saying how I don't care if 1,000 people sell shirts. They ain't you.
That's right. That's right.
They ain't you. I don't care if they selling. They got mixtapes. They ain't you.
It ain't your mixtape.
I don't care what you got going on. That don't put your stuff on me, and we're gonna win, and we're gonna do it. So
that's it. That's it. No, I'm gonna add something to this too, because you know I also do comedy. I also do stand-up comedy.
Correct. I think from this video, everybody. I think y'all can pretty much figure that out.
So I did stand-up comedy. I did a tour with Davine. I said Davine did a good news tour. I went on a tour with Davine, and I go and I'm developing my muscle as a stand-up comedian. And people say, "How can you do this?" I teach.
Why not?
Every teacher I know is a stand-up comedian. Because you got to get up and entertain and draw people in for on Tuesday, Thursdays. I an hour and 20 minutes. You got to pull people's attention for an hour and 20 minutes.
You better.
I'm a stand up. I can do a whole show. I can do a whole improv show because I do it 5 days a week. 5 days a week. I get up and I interact. I try to pull my students in because teaching is different now.
Okay.
You guys, you growing up were exposed to many more things than we were growing up. So, and now think about your children.
Correct.
All the world that they live in. So, because I grew up in a world without cell phones.
Okay.
And without all that stuff. So when somebody left and they didn't tell you where they went, then you just didn't know. But now I can track you. May not be the best thing invented, but it worked for some of us, right? So it's a different kind of world. So as you were saying, I was trying to put all the things into compartments and then look at them and stuff. And I won awards as a playwright. I've also won awards as a Toastmasters. I won awards for speaking. I've had speaking engagements. I've won awards for doing all kind of different things. I've been University Professor of the Year here at South Carolina State University.
Wow, okay.
I've done lots of things, but there was one thing.
Acting. Take your time.
I want to just speak to the 5-year-old, the 7-year-old, or the 10-year-old you who dreamed a dream that maybe you couldn't voice it, maybe you couldn't tell anybody about it because it seemed too impossible. But I'm here to tell you that this brown girl, this thick girl,
go ahead,
this pretty gap girl,
go ahead,
dreamed a dream of being in television and film. It was the high point of the week or the year. I knew exactly when the Tonys were coming on. I knew when the Oscars were coming on. And I sat down there and watched those things and all. It was the big deal, not just for me, but for my sister. Because my sister knew all the information. She knew this. And I thought, because I thought my sister was like, I always thought my sister was rich because she always had money. But I always thought she was very smart because she knew everything. But my sister and we were like this. And we dreamed. And we thought about that magical world, because in the world, on the stage and everything, hey, when I saw somebody who looked like me and when they were doing something, it wasn't the world that I was living in. Because I really like musicals. You may not know that because I don't sing. But in the musicals, honey, everybody happy. Everybody singing and kicking up their leg. And I was just like, oh, that's going to be me one day. I just love that. And I got lost in that world. And I'm just saying to you, whatever you have dreamed, do it. Don't leave this earth not having tried to open the door, not having tried to turn the key. Don't do it to yourself. Don't do it. I'm telling you, don't do it. Don't worry about your cousin. Don't worry about your mom and them. Don't worry about this. We make jokes about 50-year-old rappers, but I got something to tell you. If it's a gift and you have refined it, it's going to work for you.
Yeah, sure.
If it's a misplaced dream, do it anyway. Because you know what? When you sitting in your rocking chair and you ain't got no teeth and the great-grandchildren rocking around you, you can start your rap. Once upon a time, not long ago, when Grandpa was not moving so slow.
That's right.
And you can tell them that story. We live in a world where so many people are stopped by other people's ideas and what other people think about you. You better live your dream. You better bash Mister in the head and worry about them folks later. You better get your dream on. Right. Sorry, that was just my moment. Didn't mean to get all misty-eyed on you and everything, because I just think people don't understand what it's like to dream something and it's coming to pass.
And you see it.
You know?
And you see it.
And you see it. You touch it. What is it like to have people that you watch on TV and you admire come up and say to you, hey, you're good. I like that. You this, you this and stuff. And so it's wonderful. It's validation, right? But I got it in me.
Correct.
Because now I tell people, now I might not be able to, I might miss some consonant sounds. I might not be able to get rid of my southern drawl, baby, but you can't beat me acting. I will act circles. I will act up the side of this wall, down here, up here, and around in a circle, in a rectangle, and an octagon, baby. Because I know one thing I can do. Exactly. I can act and I can teach.
See, and that's the confidence you got in yourself.
Oh yeah, I can do those things.
I might see that.
I ain't no cook, but I'm a professional orderer. See, you put that together. Tell me what you want to eat, and I'll put it together. I got strength in that. Okay, don't ask me to cook though.
Well,
I don't put my whole life right. I had to move the Bamberg.
I think.
Oh Lord!
Hey, everybody comes on here. Everybody that comes on here, I don't think everybody.
Yeah, somebody just told me I want a clause. Did you call a clause or something?
Yeah, they said every time they come out, they always end up telling.
I mean, and he's so smooth with it. And I'm like, I end up telling stories. I ain't even told people. I ain't told the people, and we got a little audience in with us. My colleague and his daughters stayed here to just support me in this, and so thank you very much.
That's great. And my number one assistant, Marche, all right, and my number two assistant, Little Marvin, he's out for the count, but he's my number two assistant.
Yes.
Because everybody know about me. Marvin, I'm gonna have my kids, and they're gonna.
That's it.
They're gonna be part of school because.
That's right.
Because my daddy go, and I get the big bucks. They're gonna want to help spend it. So.
Boom. They're gonna need to get that job too. They're gonna need to work for you, okay? Because you can't pass on your $1 billion business, and they don't understand the dynamics.
Correct.
And I'm just a little blurb because I've been talking about this a lot. Struggle. That's different than struggle. Struggle builds skills in you that living an easy life doesn't necessarily
Correct.
do. And I'm not telling you to create struggleizations for anyone, but the struggle was there to make you stronger. If you let it take you out, then you didn't learn the lesson from that struggle.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Okay. Take
right.
your struggles and be a millionaire, boo.
That's right, guys. And if you guys was in here, I want to thank those for in here that stayed the whole time. I see you. Thanks for the likes, the hearts. Thanks for the shares. Or if you were sitting here, please hit that like it, that share button, guys. If you see it, you like it. You see Ursula. Her link is above. Check out her Facebook page. Got anything else going? We're gonna make sure to put in the description above. Guys, this is episode 72. I want to thank you for tuning in. Like I said again, hit that like, hit that share button. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe. Tell a friend. We're coming back at it. We're doing this for the Berg. We start for the Berg, and we're going to keep grinding from here. Thank you, guys. This is Marvin's Sports and Life signing out.
That's it, baby.